Walk into any bookstore and you will see it. Sapiens has sold tens of millions of copies, completely saturating the modern nonfiction market. Its core promise is ambitious. It attempts to compress 13.5 billion years of history, from the Big Bang to modern urban structures, into a single cohesive narrative. But a claim that large requires a strict skepticism check. Is this a rigorous, academically sound account of our species, or a simplified pop science summary? If you build your understanding of the world on a flawed historical foundation, your conclusions about modern society will carry those exact same flaws. Before you commit 15 hours to reading it, you need to verify the author's credibility and understand exactly what kind of book this actually is. The architect of this narrative is Yuval Noah Harari. He earned his doctorate from Oxford University, and he maintains an active academic presence, currently lecturing at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. However, Harari is specifically a historian. He synthesizes existing research rather than generating primary data in fields like evolutionary biology, genetics, or anthropology. He has the methodological training required to build a massive historical framework, but he is a professional generalist, not a specialist in every scientific domain he covers. To build the Sapiens narrative, Harari merges biology, anthropology, economics, and psychology into one continuous story. By intersecting these fields, he highlights connections between human systems that are usually studied in isolation, such as how early religious myths facilitated complex trait networks. This approach gives you a macro-level perspective, like a spy satellite orbiting history, revealing long-term behavioral patterns that span millennia. But keeping that massive scale in focus requires a sacrifice. Granular historical details and localized nuances must be left out to maintain the wide view. The book's primary value lies in watching how massive, disparate human systems interact over time, rather than getting a microscopic, perfect view of a single era. To make that wide view accessible to millions, Harari takes cold archaeological data and applies emotional resonance. He looks at a 30,000-year-old artifact and frames it as a relatable human message, somebody trying to say, "I was here." That specific storytelling ability is why the text is highly readable, allowing it to reach an audience ranging from casual readers to Silicon Valley executives. The trade-off is narrative smoothing. Complex, contradictory historical facts are frequently ground down to fit a cleaner, more compelling story arc. You trade the messy complexity of raw historical data for the clarity of a cohesive narrative. This blending brings up the most frequent criticism from domain experts. The text consistently mixes objective historical evidence with Harari's own subjective philosophy. Much of Sapiens actually operates far on the interpretive side of this skinnle. While academics debate the validity of these philosophical leaps, those exact leaps are what prompt readers to question their own assumptions about how society functions. To get the most out of the text, apply an active filter while you read. Constantly separate what actually happened from how the author feels about what happened. Treat the book as a philosophical exercise designed to test your own thinking, rather than a definitive history textbook. If you are a fact-checker, a specialized historian, or someone seeking an objective reference manual without authorial voice, you will likely find this book frustrating and should skip it. But if you are a system thinker or a strategic optimizer looking for a broad mental model to help you process modern global structures, there is a lot to gain here. Sapiens is a masterful thinking tool, provided you never mistake it for an absolute source of truth. Now that we have established the parameters of how to read the book, we can look at what it actually says. Harari anchors the entire history of our species to 4 distinct shifts: the cognitive, agricultural, unification, and scientific revolutions. Understanding the mechanics of those 4 pillars is the only way to fully master the framework he has built.